Okay, everyone, and welcome back. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. Recognize most of my class by their faces by now, though the names escape me still. I just realized I got started without getting a drink. Bear with me. Woe to those of us in the US were that to happen. just just no. Okay. A opinions or not, let's not. I agree. I agree. Class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I have even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overtly attentive. First days, I was pretty high strung. You started liking him on your third run? I think for our second run, I might actually attempt the Kenji route just to sate my own morbid curiosity. Matao finishes his lecture, Matao finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, festival's on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also, come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food! Everyone bursts out in laughter. So do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Matao deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. Ooh, that's an amusing effect. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in the school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Hisao! I'm going to make you a one-time only, super extra special lunch offer. Emmy's homemade lunch boxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties. Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose as an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing her very modest chest and making the V for Victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited? You stood there looking really lost and sad. I thought you could use some company. That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable. So, how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding. Sure, I'll have your lunch offer. With pleasure. Well, let's go to the roof. The roof? Why the roof? Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry.
Whoops. My bad.
And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never packs a lunch for herself.
Who will?
Come with me.
Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles guiltily.
Actually, it was yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and forgot to eat it.
Ah. Stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. Wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Nick. I recognize that figure. Our favorite no-armed perv. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs.
Eek!
Hello.
Yipes! You scared me, Rin.
Wait, isn't she... Hello? Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curious at me.
You two know each other?
I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds drifting above the school. Yeah, apparently my wife is rather attached to her. Probably because they're fellow pervs. I know, I'm just terrible. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts for only a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off.
I invited you out for lunch. If you know him, that's just better.
Oh, does that mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch?
Neither. I have food for 3.
Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. Small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. Kaiju-senpai. My Emmy voice is in a state of flux. I haven't 100% decided whether or not to opt for my Sayori voice with her.
Which sounds a lot more like this.
Or a slightly more delicate grace quality, but a little more aggressive. I don't know. I'll settle on something eventually. Nick. I peek through the chain link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere, a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look towards the town center, small town feel strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly I haven't had time to think about how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. Cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces one big and two small lunchboxes from her bag. I think I'm gonna switch back to Sayori.
Come on, Isao. What are you waiting for?
She's beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench.
Aw.
I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin, and hands another lunchbox to me.
Here you go. Lunch as promised.
Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Bun bun.
Oh, wow.
Wow, this looks really good.
Thanks. I made them myself when I can.
Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? Oh, epic. Yo, it's the Batman. Thanks for the raid. I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean that I'm giving up on being a normal person? Yo, Batman! Glad you could join us and bring me a raid.
Hi.
Hello, Mavi. Or does it just mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? Yeah, for sure, Bat. No problem, dude. I understand. You have a good day. I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. Thanks, dude. You seem pretty hungry. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding.
My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. It helps me keep my girlish figure.
What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? Ren logic, everyone. I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh.
That's a figure of speech.
Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this?
Talk like what?
Like what? Think that answers my question. Never mind. So, struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question.
Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another.
Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion. Oh, Jiao Senpai, nice. Very nice.
Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it?
Emmy? Oh boy. Ah.
So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along.
I mean... See, Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right. That seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better, and yet confused. I mean... See, that is exactly the necessary logic path that I was following. I just wasn't saying it. I mean, you got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. Conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise.
Ah, that was good.
As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry.
With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Nick, aw. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is. This time, I keep my comment to myself. Somehow, I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Instead, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure.
Hisao, how do you like it up here?
Oh, it's quite nice, actually. I like high places for the view. Oh, no. No, Hisao, bro, no. I have a, albeit mild, fear of heights, so, nope. Hisao, you do you. I will stay on firm terra firma. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose.
No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too, okay?
Yeah, like, my fear of heights, it's not, like, horrific, but it's moderate. Like, as long as I don't look down, I'm okay. But, like, it is distracting enough to me that if I'm playing a video game or if I'm watching someone else play a video game that has, like, vast views of the ground below and you're really high up, it's a little unsettling. Yeah.
I won't make you lunch, but you can bring your own up here.
Oh, hell no, senpai. Nope. Yeah, that I couldn't do. No lunch service? I don't know. And he looks mock offended. Oh yeah, fuck scaffolding, bro. No.
Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve!
She giggles.
Well, if that's your answer, I guess Ren and I will just keep eating lunch all alone.
I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I have ever seen as Emmy pouts. You know what I'm about to say? Where's my sandwich? Where's my coffee, Sayori? Kidding! I was kidding. I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. Guess this makes us friends now. Hey, Zachman. Yeah, like, I grossly underestimated this visual novel. Like, I've really been enjoying it so far. Or, at least acquaintances. Lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs.
Ren, you didn't finish your lunch again.
I wasn't that hungry.
If you don't eat more, you're going to fade away.
Ren shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we'd better get going. Three of us head down the stairs together. Afternoon class passes. Once again, find myself without a plan for something to do after school, so I head to the library to return a couple of the books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are about as many students here as there were on Tuesday, all the more evident from the almost total silence enveloping the room. No modding for Katawa Shoujo. The developers are pretty strict about that. As I drop the books I'd borrowed into the return slot on the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging they make as they hit the trolley next to her. Oh, sorry, Yuko. Didn't mean to startle you.
No, that's fine. It happens a lot. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, exactly what Nick said.
Can I help you?
It's okay. I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. I suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. Not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section towards the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been the last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Well, there she is. Surprisingly, though, she's here, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. Can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. There she is. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill towards the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. "Hey, Lily." She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more towards the source of my voice as she does. "Hisao?" "Yep, that's me." She seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact that she actually remembered is a pleasant surprise. "Good evening. What brings you here?" Once again, she gives a small polite bow, and once again I reply in kind before realizing that I needn't do so. "Just going into town. You?" My, what a coincidence. Doing the same thing, eh?" I usually go shopping on Fridays." She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost. "That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me." "Ah, not lost but worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kind of surprising that Hanako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in a book." She lets out a small sigh of relief. "Thank you. She has a habit of doing that." "Avid reader?" "Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit." Although she probably didn't intend it, I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanting to bring it up, I remain silent as we quietly continue the walk down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. With the road bereft of cars and the students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tapping of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that can be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much that a loud yawn escapes before I can control it. "Tired?" "Yeah, been running ragged these past few days." That's an understatement, to be sure. Transferring into a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this. "Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now. You've been plopped in the middle of things." For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for the frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. "I guess Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formality surrounding everything, the isolation around it. Not to mention the most obvious difference. It's kind of a whole different mindset. I suppose I'll get used to it, though, in time. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. Feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she's shepherding, along with Class 3 too, and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case. Looking on the bright side, one could see it as a chance for a new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends. That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things, I suppose. Guess that's a good take on it. Walking down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speaks up about something else. So, where in town are you going? That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I had intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with the sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm going to have to ask her for directions. Again. I was just going to get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way. Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself. Looks like I'll be in your care again then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My paces carefully slowed to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower. Not that it's without reason. After what couldn't be more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. The town's really pretty small. Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter. Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here... Takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling that she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it would be my pleasure. Aw, thank you, Artie. Aw. I mean, like, if I made it any more pronounced, I would probably struggle with it. The fact that I opted for heavily Americanized, I think, probably serves more in my best interest. But thank you so amazingly much. It's definitely, when I try out a new voice, it is definitely a comfort to get affirmations periodically. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grab 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. Oh, that was so cute. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, if she doesn't use her cane... Hello, Lily. Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff of my uniform under her slender fingers. Is this all right? Sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it is out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, with not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Shimaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily and find out what she needs, grab it along with what I'm looking for, and put our items into their respective baskets. I guess this is the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Right, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lily? Hi, Bun. No, this should be everything. Off we go then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we've both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upwards at the night sky while holding both of our bags. Hey, DBS! Glad you could join us, mate. For a moment, I try to make clouds with my breath, but summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually, she fights herself, taking a quick stretch before... eventually she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me to my two. You tired as well? The festival preparations have been complete chaos. Shizune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either. Oh no, Nick. Oh, it took me a minute to get that. Nice. Hey, I'm on the gate. Oh, God. Unfortunately, he's at work, and my wife is asleep, so I will admit the periodic reference to one of my respective partners is definitely a welcome and refreshing thing to see. Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right? I suppose I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow. That's for certain. I guess the festival preparations must be taking their toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by the street lamps. For a second, I think it's another male student from my class, but as he, or should I say she, gets closer, I recognize her quickly. Well, Rin, what are you doing out here so late? Same. I like, the minute he said male, I'm like, done. Rin? Lily perks her head, looking like she's trying to focus on listening more keenly. It suddenly comes to me that I should probably interpret the scene for her. It's Rin Tezuka, I think was her last name, from our school. She stiffens at the name and gives a complicated-looking expression, something like a forced fusion of a composed smile and a painful cringe. Ah, I understand. I guess Lily knows Rin, too. Rin turns to look at us, looking terribly out of it. Not entirely sure if she recognizes either of us, or at least she doesn't acknowledge it if she does. Mm-hmm. She looks like a zombie, or statue of a zombie. Bun. But slowly, some symptoms of understanding seem to light her dark eyes. This is something she must react to. Rin blinks once, very thoroughly. Hello? There's an awkward pause, everyone waiting for someone else to say something. What are you doing here this late? I was wondering about that myself, too, just now. Some people asked that just before. I assume they were wondering the same. Didn't know. They didn't know either. I asked. That's why I'm wondering. So, that was pretty much it. It's a murder mystery without a murder. They were going that way. She turns, facing to her right in order to demonstrate the direction the other people went to, as if that was important, and rotates back like a mechanical puppet in one of those overly complicated clockworks. For a person who gives an impression of being the quiet type, Rin really does use a lot of words to say things that don't need a lot to be said. Unsure if she's finished, I say nothing. Neither does Lily, who seems equally robbed of words for the time being. I think that both of us are, in fact, just scared that any response might provoke her to continue. Our stupefied lack of reaction doesn't faze Ren at all. She keeps looking at us expectantly, a calm hint of expression on her blank face. She seems to be that kind of person, always relaxed. As if bull elephant grade sedatives were flowing in her veins in the place of her blood. Boy, there's a thing. Do you have amnesia? I don't recall you having anything of the sort, though. No, I don't think it's that. The other passersby were probably just worried, though. You do look really lost, the way you're standing in the middle of the street. Oh, I see. Maybe I should have taken some other kind of pose in that case. I ponder for a while whether I should chase this angle further or give up for the sake of my own sanity. I decide on the latter. It seems that most of the time it's better to not read too deeply into what Rin is babbling about. Talking with Rin is like playing chess with a supercomputer who does seemingly completely random moves as if to mock everything you know about chess. It's like that, except with human interaction. And even if I win, it feels like losing. Damn, it's just like Kenji said, even when I win, I lose. Is this the power of the girls of Yamaku? Oh no, Hisao, not you too, man! I push the thought aside as too dangerous to consider further. Probably just Kenji's anti-female propaganda getting to me during a moment of weakness. Yeah, maybe taking another pose might have worked. So, anyway, you have no idea what you're doing here? She frowns, looking extremely displeased at either my question, its consequences, or the answer she's about to give. I do have some idea. I can't really tell what kind of an idea. That sounds like progress, at least. Lily sounds as if she spotted an opening for some kind of discernibly normal conversation. I can't say I share her optimism. Yes, there is some, definitely. The rest will come later. I'm sure of it. I always have reasons. The ensuing silence kills Lily's hopes all too visibly. That didn't last long. Rin's, as far as I can tell, unbased. Assurances aside, what should be done? We could just leave her to her own devices, whatever those are, but it's late, and I don't think we'll be getting any thanks if Rin is found standing here in the middle of the night. Which she probably will, unless she manages to remember what she was doing here in the first place. As for me, trying to guess what might have been going on in her mind when she decided to embark on this adventure, the chances seem to be on par with winning the lottery. There he is! Hey, hun. Glad you could come. Several times in a row. Lily is oddly quiet too. I'd appreciate some support from the sidelines here, especially if she's more familiar with Ren than I am. But can't be helped. Seems her familiarity with Ren is exactly why she's staying subdued. So, I assume you were going somewhere, not coming back to the school. Any idea where? Yeah, my poor Zara. I sent him a DM in the middle of the night, so... Oops. He's slightly sleep deprived. Her eyes widen in shock, and she jolts back in a somewhat artificial way, making it seem like an act rehearsed for situations like this. Are you a mind reader? Is that your disability? How unique. No. What? Why would you think that? You knew what I was doing. It was just an educated guess. We walked the same street in the other direction just before to get to the store. If you were going to school, we would have met you on the way. Oh. She looks a little disappointed. Like Kenji, Rin appears quick to jump to completely irrational conclusions. Maybe it's something in the water here. I make a mental note to stock up on soft drinks. You know, that is the second time this week that someone asked if I was a mind reader. Do I really give off that impression? Rin shrugs her shoulders, which is all the answer I get. You know, maybe you should come back with us, back to the school? Lily interjects just as I'm about to further debunk my alleged mind-reading capabilities. She sounds rather concerned, the paper-thin smile on her face badly disguising that fact. Maybe she came to the same conclusion as I did. For everyone's sake, I decided to let the mind-reading topic drop, as it's entirely inane anyway. Insane works too, I think. Yeah, Lily's right. If you can't remember, no point in staying here. Rin considers this rather simple deduction for a moment, then nods. Okay. We start towards the school again, having wasted way more time than necessary with this episode. Rin walks along the edge of the sidewalk in her rhythmic way, looking like a mix of sleepwalker and rope dancer, where Lily keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping at the ground with her cane. Tap, step, step, tap, tap, step, step, step. Apart from that, and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet. Quiet, quite apart from the relaxing one into town at that. So, how's your mural going? We're going to get bad luck. Never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. Tap, step, tap, step. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's politeness feels out of place for the first time. Step, step, step. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep, going uphill. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there. I can see the gates already. More than that, though, I notice that Lily's hand slightly tightens on my shoulder. Interpreting it as a gesture that she wants to ask something, I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? I resist the urge to say, aside from our traveling companion, but only just. For a moment, she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything all right? All right? How do you mean? The fact that I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just, you seem unusually tired, I guess. Now as she brings it up, I notice that my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has really done a job on me. Lily noticed it all too quickly. Oh. What do you guys think? No spoilers, please. No spoilers. What do y'all think? 1 for I really don't want to talk about it, and the number 2 for I'm not okay. Save. Is this a really big moment? I will absolutely. Well, I definitely haven't been doing that. Um, which is fine. I can resolve that at a later date. So, Artie says 2, Nick says 2. One leads to an interesting moment. I like interesting moments. Let's do it. Did you mean just itemized one or the number 1? That's probably an important distinction. Itemized one. Okay, so, senpai, which one leads to an interesting moment? Oh, well, presumably by process of elimination, you meant the number 2, right? Pick what your heart says. Uh... I'm inclined to be honest. Anyone have a problem with that? Ciao. Okay. No, that's not how this works. Ordinarily, yes, but if the streamer poses a question, you gotta do the thing. It's alright. I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Thank you, Kaiju-senpai. Oh, is it something that is related to you being transferred here? I mean... She cuts herself off rather abruptly, maybe realizing she was being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are sharp, though, and while I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie about it. Yeah, it's my logic. If it's Lily, I don't think I mind. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said you look fairly healthy, so I naturally thought... Lily doesn't finish her sentence again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising she's this flustered, considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness. She must know that not all share her own comfort about such things. No, it's okay. I have a pretty... guess the best way to put it would be messed up heart arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it, and spent most of the spring in a hospital. Ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though, only seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given I have the exact same reaction. While I do want to... Oh, no, you're good. You know I am absolutely positively not going to fuck with you creating new original music, senpai. While I do want to assuage her concern, I really don't want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She'd been so quiet for almost all of the walk back that I had all but forgotten she was there. It's Friday, isn't it? Yes, Friday. Friday, the 8th of June. This is bad. Bad? Why? I think I'm going to go in a fetal position and throw up. Possibly in reverse order. Is something wrong? No, nothing's wrong. It's Friday, and nothing is wrong yet. This mural is going to need to be finished by Sunday. So, everything's alright. Do you have any drugs? Or a time machine? This is not good. Not good. So, she's behind her schedule. Recalling Shizune's exasperation at Rin's carefree attitude several days ago, I don't know what to think. She's left herself open for a told you so, unless she can pull off whatever she needs to pull off by Sunday morning. Right, Joe? Nick. Rin keeps staring at her mural, looking as mortified as she can. Leave me. I'm going to need to work for a while. I glance at Lily, expecting her to share an incredulous look with me as I roll my eyes, but then I realize she's not one to do that kind of thing. Leave me. Alright. Well then. We do, of course, not wanting to aggravate her any more than she already is. There is a churning bad feeling in my gut. Rin sure has a knack of making people feel worried about her. Seems like a person who should never be left alone. Maybe we should call someone? She sounded like she was going into shock or something. I'm sure she will be just fine. She's just, how'd you say? Lily cocks her head a little, trying to find a polite way of calling Rin crazy without calling her crazy. Unique? Yes, a very unique person. I guess you could say that. Crazy, got it, yeah. She giggles at the notion, melodiously, nodding in agreement. Sorry about leaving you stranded as you talk to her. I don't really understand her, so I keep my distance. So, I guess was right. Lily offers a slight apologetic smile as if she was sorry that her own shortcomings have prevented her from being closer to Ren. I'm not one to blame her. At all. Lily lets slip a long breath, probably a disguised yawn. I imagine she's as exhausted by all of this as I am. I'd better leave now. Give these to Hanako. Thank you for the company, Xiao. She smiles very sweetly at me. It feels different than normal, despite the fact that she seems to be smiling so often. Can't put my finger on what the difference is, it's just different. Relaxed, I'd say. But it's probably just relief over getting rid of Ren. Maybe. Yeah, good night. Say hi to Hanako for me. I will. Good night. Boy, that was a day. Good morning, Via. That booty, though. Is this your card? Oh, Nick. Jesus. Good one, sir. Ta-da! Nick, you're a mess.
Hey, baby. I love you.
Students roll into class for the Saturday morning session. Ouch. Each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who have worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until the lunch break, and then our time is our own. Mattel lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in class is going to call him out on it. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work. Not wanting to break the trend, I do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partly be attributed to the 2 empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizune aren't present. Probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha. Wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she's making up for Shizune's lack of voice. That's an interesting thought. I hadn't considered that. Nikai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I didn't even notice Mattel approaching my desk. Sure. What's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Oh no. Something about this doesn't sound good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Matau stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he's trying to say. Not knowing what's going on, I wait silently. So, tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Matau to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You've had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see. And how is your condition? Pause before condition seemed a little unnecessary. Haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Mattel's face. Good. That's good. School nurse was a little concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask that you don't blow us off so freely. As much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at a normal school, you have to realize you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where your limits are and how to maximize your potential within them. You follow me? I guess. I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Matau taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in my little life support prison. Well, yeah, you've got to keep up these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the layperson, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Mattel's serious talk is over, and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think, hindsight, that I prefer him this way, slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? There's my baby. My relief at that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Mattel pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant, I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back into the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Oh, my allergies just went like absolutely batshit all of a sudden. Sorry, guys. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Mattel does not even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got to him there. Class returns to the near silence that Mattel and I left it in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or a chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. Clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. Class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions so I don't have to bother with it over the rest of the weekend, with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako's the only one left, obviously waiting for Lily. It's weird, Lily comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako, but none of my business, and I naturally... Hey, Ace! Thank you for the host. Welcome. But it's none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Oh, Nick! Time passes in silence. Probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. Turn pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lead splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. Sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako? Aww. Her name's all it takes to make Hanako jump up from her desk and run to Lily. Aww. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lily leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I know, doesn't she? I totally shipped them. Oh, Jesus Christ, yes. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye, out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes, she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her, though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it. Oh, right on. Come to think of it, that isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. After about 10 minutes of restlessly shuffling in her seat and trying to read, Hanako closes her book and leaves too. As should I, since the assignment is all but finished and there's nothing else to do in the classroom. Not that I have anything to do anywhere else either. School is a beehive of activity, but nobody pays me any heed. I saunter past classrooms filled with students frantically doing this and that, buzzing around like little worker bees. You wouldn't guess the school day is over. It's a bit quieter outside, but not by much. People zip by left and right, hurrying as quickly as they can, busy and energetic. I feel the opposite. Midday sun seems to be draining of all the spirit. The midday sun seems to be draining all the spirit out of my body, making it feel limp all over. Warm, soft air flows inside my shirt, feeling like a cushion. I yawn lazily, thinking about what I'd do. I'll drop off my books at the dorms first, and then something I haven't decided yet. Maybe Kenji's in his room. On the way to the dorms, I spot Emmy coming my way, running, despite not having those weird running prosthetics on. I wave at her and she skids to a stop.
Yo, Sao!
Spatters of white and green paint adorn her nose and chin respectively, but her smile is wide, as it seems it always is. She leans closer to me, amplifying the feeling she's examining me.
What you doing?
Nothing, really. I don't have anything to do for the festival, and everyone else seems to be doing something important.
That's perfect. Then you can help me and Ren.
With festival preparations? I'm not sure if I'd be of any help.
That's fine. I'm not much help either.
Emmy grabs my wrist and starts dragging me back inside the school quite forcefully. Even her walking speed is more like jogging, making me stumble over myself, simply trying to keep up. The stairs slow Emmy down a little bit. Maybe it's hard to climb with her legs, or maybe she's finally run out of breath. We go all the way back to the 3rd floor and to the seniors' hallway, ending up where I left 5 minutes ago. I could just as well have stayed here waiting for Emmy, had I known. So, is Rin working on that mural still? A little bit. I'm inclined to agree with you.
That's right. She needs all kinds of paints and brushes and stuff, so I went to get them from the art classroom.
And you need me to help with that.
Well, Bryn told me you'd already helped her, so thought you wouldn't mind.
I see. So, thanks to Emmy's flaky logic, here I am again, collecting stuff from the art classroom for other people. The room is empty, apart from ourselves, and the lonely specks of dust floating in the air. Emmy skips straight away to the back wall, digging out a tiny crumpled piece of paper from her pocket. While she tries to make sense of the scrawled handwriting, I take a closer look at the materials lying around. Dozens of paint cans and bottles are arranged on the shelves in most unorganized fashion. Some look like they've been left here for several decades, relics of previous art club generations. Next to the heavy stacks of neatly piled drawing paper are boxes full of different sized brushes and unsorted crayons. Smells of paint, turpentine, and fresh paper float in the stale air, mixing in my nostrils to form that unmistakable scent of art. Emmy studies her notes, comparing them to the markings on the various paint cans, and passes them to me as she finds the correct matches. She stretches her neck to look on the topmost shelf, but it's not quite enough. Her eye level stays below the shelf no matter what she does. Emmy gives up and just looks to up to the shelf longingly, like a child at a toy store, huffing in annoyance. Oh! After a moment of building anger, she starts jumping up and down, apparently trying to speed read the labels during the fraction of a second she can see them and catch what she can. It's no surprise that she fails miserably and almost manages to bring the entire shelf crashing down. Now, I see why me lending a hand here would be useful. Come on, let me do that. You can't jump high enough, and I don't want you to hurt yourself trying. Also, I'm like twice your height.
You are not.
She turns around, flaring scorn, flushed cheeks and all. Just kidding. Anyway, I'll look up there, okay? She glares at me one more time, but can't come up with a retort. With a grudging, she turns her back to me. So, I begin scrounging around the top shelf for paint, while below, Emmy crouches to scavenge what she can from the cupboards. Nick. I shake my head a little, after double-checking to ensure she can't see me do so. Emmy, having a complex about her height, was a surprise. I wouldn't have joked about it otherwise. She seems easygoing, but I guess everyone has their weak spots. Only after we have almost all of the items collected and spread out on the desk like a treasure hunter's spoils do I realize that it wasn't necessarily the height tab that got her riled up. She might not like to be told she can't do something, like jump. But Emmy herself seems to have forgotten all about it already. I would believe Misha, Paul. I would absolutely believe Misha. I don't know about Emmy. Oh, Nick. But Emmy herself seems to have forgotten all about it already. Quick to anger, quick to forgive. Is she that type of person? At least, she doesn't seem to have taken anything to heart, as she chatters away happily while we pick up the rest of the items and then make our way back to Rin. Yeah, no, totally. I chivalrously carry the bulk of the materials as we make our way towards the dorms.
Rin is really stressed about getting her painting done. It's her own fault, though. She started...
God damn.
Rin is really stressed about getting her painting done. It's her own fault, though. She should have started earlier.
I know, right, Via? Is she gonna make it?
No idea. Looks good to me. But with Rin, you never know what's going on. I found her this morning, lying in front of the dorm in fetal position. She hadn't slept all night. Can't believe that the night nurses hadn't found her. Now, she's painting again like crazy.
Yeah, I've noticed that she comes off kinda unhinged, so to speak. Emmy giggles at that, as well as at my likely too obvious awkwardness.
I don't mind it. She's just a little weird sometimes.
On that, I can agree with her. Unlike me, Emmy seems to be cool with Rin's whatever it is that feels so off about her. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizune do. With them working as a single entity sometimes, it's hard to say where one ends and the other begins. Okay, everyone, and guess what? It's time for more Katawa Shoujo. Still, they don't feel close like Misha and Shizune do. With them working as a single entity sometimes, it's hard to say where one ends and the other begins. Oh, come on, really? Hey, Bun Bun! Okay. Even though they're so different, just like Emmy and Rin are. And Rin is the most different of all of them. Different from anyone else I've met. Yeah, I guess she's a very unique person. Return to that world again, as if it encompasses Rin's personality by itself. But really, it's just a substitute for a lengthy description of her oddities. Emmy giggles as I grasp about for a properly descriptive word.
She's just weird.
That's fair.
You know, earlier, she just spent half an hour sitting on her box and stared at her toes.
She giggles again in a way that makes me think she doesn't know what's funny about it. Just is. Yeah, that's fair.
All that time.
Oh, that's great. Rin is interesting. I'm not 100% sure, as I've said. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do her route live. I know Via probably wants me to do it, at least somehow. But, she's definitely... she's a character. Working area is a mess, and the mural itself has taken over even more of the wall since I last saw it. The disfigured human figures have been mostly colored in tones of red, pink, and orange. Weird, imaginary things populating the spaces between. There's my baby. Hey, sweetheart. It looks nice. I can't think of any word that would describe the work concisely and comprehensively, so settle myself to a nondescript nice. But hey, Dino! Glad you can make it today. Honestly, it seems that the area around the wall becomes untidier at the same rate as the mural progresses. That's probably fair. Ground is littered with dozens of paint cans, various art supplies, and empty soda bottles. Rin herself is in the center of this chaos, standing there looking very cozy, as if she was a natural part of the scene. Her pant legs have been rolled up to her knees, exposing her thin legs, which sport a trying spectrum of war paintings, similar to those on Emmy's face. Emmy sprints to Rin ahead of me and gleefully jumps in front of her.
I'm back! I'm also not Monica. Why is that voice?
But she's taken over, guys. Like, I don't know. That was fast. Did you run in the corridors again?
Hey, Sal, help me!
Emmy points victoriously at me. Rin turns around, following Emmy's finger with her eyes, looking my general direction.
Dino!
Nope. Kaiju again. Thank you, Kaiju-senpai. Appreciate it. She nods absent-mindedly at me. Looks like she hasn't slept since last night. A vacant, glazed stare, focused slightly off me, and movements like a slow-motion movie. Hello, Isao. Thank you for the help. Don't mention it. I just did. Never mind. Looks like you've made progress. Looking good, as far as I can tell. But now, you get more bad luck. Damn it, Rin! I know, but I'm willing to take the risk. That's a very nice thing to say. For me, of course, not for you. This is why artists are always unlucky. They have to constantly look at their unfinished paintings. So, artists can't find romance, their favorite TV shows are canceled, or they die young because of unspecified disease. It's a deep and mysterious law of the universe. Unless they're blind. She considers this for a while, looking like she's going to fall asleep. There's a boy at the art club, you see, blind boy, so he doesn't see. You already told me. I glance sideways at Emmy, and she glances back in a way that tells she has heard this one before too. Hey, Nick. Neither of us says anything to Rin, though, so she continues her monotone soliloquy like an unfunny stand-up comedian. He should become an artist. No bad luck. Guaranteed. Don't you think that would be a good idea? That only blind people should become artists? No, not as such. Sorry, guys. You might have a point. Abandoning this train of thought, she turns again to consider her work and starts humming a tune that I think I recognize, but can't remember the name of. Emmy arranges the supplies we brought and moves a few paint cans around, trying to bring some organization to the scene. Emmy, I need Prussian blue paint.
Which one's Prussian blue?
She's staring hopelessly at 7 or 8 cans, each with a different tone of blue. It's the one with the Prussian blue paint in it. Rin, we love you. Just educational.
Jeez, Ren, you're not helping at all.
I look around as well, even though I don't know what Prussian blue looks like either. I wonder what blue has to do with Prussia. Or what Prussia even is. Name sounds vaguely familiar, but can't place it. While none of the blues look more Prussian than the others, the small print on the labels is legible enough to determine that none say anything about the contents being Prussian. There's no Prussian blue here. Emmy heaves a sigh.
I guess I have to go back and get some. I promised to help with our class project, though, so I'll be back a bit later. Can you manage without it for a few hours?
Rin nods, and so Emmy leaves. I stay because I like watching Rin paint, and because I have nothing better to do. I sit on a box and pick up today's book from my bag. It's a story about 3 guys drinking beer for 2 weeks straight and doing little else. Alright. At least you were here for a few minutes, Ryan. You have a good night. Sweet dreams. Rin moved from the spot that was in need of the blue and starts slowly working on another. Her foot works to brush steadily against the plastered wall, layers of paint on top of layers of paint. The mural slowly gains more form. I turn the pages out at a leisurely pace. In this chapter, they are drinking beer at the protagonist's friend's place. In the previous ones, it was the protagonist's own apartment. Okay. Not a page turner kind of book. A slice of someone's imaginary life that makes me wonder why it had to be written. Why need reason for doing something creative? It's something incomprehensible. Like why Rin does paintings. It feels like she and Emmy are the same, going squarely against their fates as if it's just out of spite. Rin even said something like that. Do something you can't just because you can. Is that what she meant? Is that her reason? It might be Emmy's. She comes off as quite a headstrong person. Rin doesn't give off that kind of an air. Thinking about it, she doesn't give off any kind of air. Or maybe a different kind every time I talk to her. Why did she say what she said? Why does she, or anyone at all, paint or draw or sculpt or write? I've never had much of a creative impulse, so I don't think I can really understand it. It makes me feel hollow inside. What a grim thought. I can't really decide whether it's true or not either. Am I content being this way? I can't deny I'm feeling a little bit envious of Ren, but can't really consider it a flaw of any kind. I'm myself, she's herself. Still, I do need to find something that could make me feel a little less lost about myself, instead of just drowning myself in these books as I did in the hospital. Can't help but feel disoriented. New school, lifestyle, people around me contribute heavily to the situation. Sensation, even. I'm trying my best to fit into existing social circles, and most of the people I've met have been really nice. It still feels like I'm an outsider, though. Like, I don't belong. I shake the feeling off, realizing that I'm spacing out. I have neither turned a page of the book nor done anything for Rin. She's trying to pour some paint from a big can using only her feet, having not bothered to ask me. Or maybe she did, and I didn't hear it. Either way, looks very unstable. Aw. I quickly jump to help her, as it looks like she's about to spill the entire contents of the can all over the pavement. I take the can from her feet and pour some into the bowl. She doesn't say anything, neither do I. Catch a glimpse of her eyes looking silently at me from under her unkempt bangs. It's an unreadable expression, a perfect poker face, mixed with a hint of something like mild surprise. Wonder what she's thinking. Maybe she's wondering about what I'm thinking. Maybe nothing. Penny for them? Penny for your thoughts? Do you have any pennies with you? I don't think so. Then I don't think I will tell. I'm not thinking anything either, so you're in luck. Except now, I just did. She frowns, looking unsatisfied. It's hard to not think about anything, but it's important. I'm about to ask why it's important when some old guy walks up to us, looking like he has some business with Ren. Oh, Jesus, motherfucker, what the shit? Okay, alright, so this is happening. Hmm. I don't know. Like, good afternoon. How's it going? I can make it. Bryn doesn't take her eyes off the wall and responds so naturally that I can only assume they know each other. I haven't seen the man before, so I naturally wonder who he might be. Maybe a teacher? His hair is faded to a silvery gray, so much so that it looks artificially dyed. Hope that's not the case. Small round glasses hang on the bridge of his nose, and it appears he's constantly looking over the lenses rather than through them. He's studying the mural intently over said glasses. Good! Good! What bold composition you have here! He moves to inspect the mural closer, talking to himself about it in a way that makes it obvious he wants us to hear it too. Very good indeed. I don't really know what to make of it, but Bryn doesn't seem to care much. She's looking around her working space, the various bowls of different tones scattered all over. So, a little more of this. Oh, give me a second. Pour 50-50 mix of two paints into the bowl. Create more of the same pale pink tone Rin was using to develop the shape of a man's face. Rin watches me doing so, which makes me feel nervous somehow. Her face is so unassuming that it feels like she's just waiting for me to do something wrong. Man turns to reckon me as well, looking surprised, as if he noticed my presence only just now. Maybe he didn't. Why, hello there! Who might you be? I'm a transfer student to Class 33. Saunakai. Nice to meet you. Tao's class, huh? Well, I don't hold that against you. He laughs very loudly, obnoxiously loudly. A few small birds take flight from a nearby tree. I'm Shinichi Nomiya, art teacher. That's what I was sitting here figuring. I knew it had to be something more or less along those lines. So, this is the art teacher. In retrospect, should have guessed that much. He even looks like one, as far as first impressions go. How did you end up assisting my protege? Wish I knew. Oh no. Okay. Best guess? Bottom option's gonna keep us away from her. For now. Just for now. Kinda stuck with her, I think. I keep wondering that myself. Lack of anything better to do, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I'm on my own time. I'm just gonna have to go back later and grab all the saves because I've been screwing up there. He lets out a hearty laugh, then checks his watch. I really must take my leave now. Tezuka, I'm pleased to see that this little project is going so well. I just stopped by to remind you to not run off by yourself tomorrow. I've invited certain people to the festival for you, and I'm sure they'd like to meet you as well. Also, Monday's club meeting is off, since I'm going out of town. Guess you kids do something among yourselves. He leaves, turning around flamboyantly, then walking off as dramatically as it's possible to walk. Ministry of Silly Walks, I see. What a weird teacher. I'll be off too. See you around, Rin. Holding up a hand, I turn to go upstairs to the dorms. Maybe, if I can finish reading these books today, the entirety of tomorrow will be free for the festival. Yo, what's up? Gabrielle, welcome to the stream.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and ring those bells. That's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Bye bye, everyone.